Hello, my Teaserking family. Looks like it's taken a few seconds to jump on. Hello, my Teaserking family. How's everybody today? Studying up for this weekend. We got a game, couple games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I don't understand these two games Monday night. Um, I'm not quite sure what they're trying to do, except just make it harder for the teams to play the following Sunday. So they're all worried about health, right? Oh, we can't have a kickoff, and oh my God, and we got to watch this and put the quarterbacks in dresses because they don't want to. We don't want to get them hurt. And then, well, we're going to make you play Monday night, and then let's have two games Monday, and then when they have to play Sunday, they're not going to be rested, and they probably will get hurt, but we don't care about that. Or we'll play games Thursday, and we'll see how many players get hurt from not being rested for that. It's freaking crazy. Anyway, the hypocritical NFL. I had a thought about the NFL that it's like Big Brother. In other words, so you're watching the game and you're watching the play and you're watching, the touchdown. But wait, Big Brother has to take a look at it and make sure the refs are not totally incompetent and actually got the call right. Right? Could you imagine working at your job, whatever it is? Let's say you're doing an Excel spreadsheet and you create a sheet and you create something and you save it. Well, wait a minute, we got to take a look at it. Wait, are the formulas all correct? Did you? Yeah, I couldn't work there. I don't understand it. So they're making you have a ref 3 feet away. He says he's in bounds, he's out of bounds. They go micromanage to the point to see the white chalk kick up or the little black pearls kick up off the field to make sure you got 2 feet in, because the guy standing 3 feet away obviously can't do his job. Or is it because they're all on the take like the government and we got to make sure it's a fair game, which it isn't anyway because of the stupid penalties. So why do you have refs then? If you have refs making the calls, inbounds, out of bounds, is it a touchdown or not? Can you please tell me why we need instant replay, except for more of a Big Brother? Well, we have to check the ref because he might be wrong, and then I've seen replays where they're not even close to being right. The replays are out. So I don't know. I just so it's really difficult to understand it, but it's more trying to be government watching you. So we got to watch every move you do. It's how I am beginning to understand this instant replay is nothing more than kind of training the people watching that we're going to watch every move you make, and then we'll review it and make sure make sure everything's fine, because the ref who's 3 feet away and it's his job, we can't trust. We could trust him until the 1990s or the 2000s, whenever they started instant replay. But I don't know. I watch all these games in the 70s and 80s. They were pretty fucking good. I mean, they called first downs were good, inbounds, outbounds. They'd miss a few plays, but that's fine. But you can't have this. All right. What was this? All these political texts I'm getting, and it's ridiculous. Okay, so we always start with gold. Gold 26.62. It had a drop at about 12 o'clock from 26.58 to 26.51, which is nothing. Well, it actually was 26.66 to 58, and then 58 to 51, and now back to 26.62. Again, this is paper gold. This is derivative gold. This is not free market gold. But it's still what they go by to price it. So we're making money when it goes up. Although it's only $4 today, it's still holding in at 26.62. They've shot their low today on Wednesday instead of Tuesday. I expect tomorrow nothing but up. It's like one day a week it does the drop, and then 1 or 2 days a week it does the rise. So it's kind of strange the way that works. Today's supposed to be a drop day. You can see all the drops that happened earlier, and then they get fought right back up. At about 8 o'clock, it went up instead of down, and then the 10 o'clock U.S. drop, it was about $15, and now it's right back up there. Silver, I don't know. Silver 31.84, just it won't let it break 32. I guess this is for the military, the Tomahawk missiles, 500 ounces of gold, and then or silver, and then the solar panels. So they got to keep the price down so they can do it. But there is no more. And again, the market will dictate the real price of gold. Morning, Titus. How are you today? Okay, so that's our silver breakdown. Now let's start. Well, what should we start with? We'll start with college ball because there's a lot more college ball. I got to find you a free pick. Okay. Which one of my 10 picks will I give out? Let's take a look at it. So going through Cover's line where they give you 4 lines, I will choose the one that is best representative of what the fuck we want for our picks. Army went from 13.5 down to 11.5. How could you bet against the Army? That's un-American. 11.5, 45.5. The total hasn't changed, but the number has gone. People betting on Temple. They had a decent game last week, but I don't think they can handle Army. Miami of Florida, 19.5, 54.5. So not much change there. They seem for real. They're just smoking it. Miami. I don't see what Virginia Tech. South Florida had them a little bit, and then they went crazy in the second half. South Florida was winning like 15-12 in the third quarter last week. Rutgers 2.5, 44.5 to Washington. Interesting game here. A Big Ten game now. Maybe it seems like a good idea when they did it, but Washington and USC and Oregon and UCLA are going to get awful tired of flying to the East Coast or Michigan, Ohio State to play games, as is Rutgers, Maryland, Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State. They're all going to get tired going to the West Coast going, what the hell are we doing? Why are we doing this? This is incredibly insane to go travel to the West Coast. You're not professional, so I don't really. That's why it was good, is everything was regional. Pac-10, Big Ten, ACC, SEC, all made sense. Now it makes no sense. Now I don't get the value of it. All right. That is the Friday game. Saturday, we've got Ole Miss 17.5, 52.5 to Kentucky. That line hasn't really moved. So I write the line Monday, and I was doing pros yesterday, and then I'm looking today at it. And, what do you get out of this game? Kentucky, I was watching the Kentucky-Georgia game and the Alabama-Wisconsin game yesterday because I want to really understand this game. And in the Alabama game, it was mostly the second half it broke out. Well, it was right before the half they scored, but Van Dyke was out. So, yeah, if Georgia loses back, they're probably going to lose to them. But had Van Dyke played the whole game, we could have got a better read on Alabama, which now we can't. until this game. But then I was watching the Georgia-Kentucky game, which is why I'm talking about it now. And Georgia didn't look like Georgia at all. But they didn't show a lot. They didn't show the running plays by Georgia. They would just show the third downs. And Kentucky, their quarterback ran a little. I'm sick and tired of these quarterbacks that nobody's open, they run. They don't throw an incompletion. They want to run. And then they wonder why they get hurt. And they're just stupid. So this guy, Kentucky's quarterback, looks terrible. He was a Georgia backup, and he looks like a backup. Ole Miss, 17.5. But see, this game's not in Kentucky, and Georgia and Mississippi's, they got a 637-yard offense. No offense to Georgia, but their offense is 372. And it's at Ole Miss. I'll see if I make this our game. Baylor, 3.5, 45. If I can find it, 3.5, 45 to BYU. Now we see a terrible coach at Baylor who, what a great prevent defense. That was light the cigar, he calls it. Well, you ain't lighting any cigars with that defense. They struggled with Colorado, who has no offense and no defense. BYU's got a killer defense, as we saw in the game against Kansas State, who's got a pretty good offense. So we'll see what we do with this game. How is Baylor going to react? I mean, they're in shock, right? They're still going to be in shock. And here comes BYU. It's that they killed Kansas State, but it was a bullshit. It was a fumble return for a touchdown, then another fumble, and then they recovered, and then they went in for another quick touchdown before half. So a lot of BYU's was off a turnover, which shows a good defense. Baylor, I like them because Colorado has no defense. That is not the case here. BYU has a 13 defense, so I am not running on Baylor, but they're favored, so, prefer doggies. Purdue, Nebraska, 10-47, 10-49, down to 47 to Purdue, who we have no idea who they are. They get their ass kicked by Notre Dame by 100, and then what did they do last week? They lost to Washington, or it was a Big Ten game. Oh, they lost to Oregon State. It wasn't even a Big Ten game. 38-21. So their defense is non-existent. Who do they got this week? Purdue, Nebraska. Nebraska's got a decent offense, not great. They got a killer defense. So we see Purdue with no defense at all. Do they have an offense? I don't know. They didn't do much to Oregon State. I don't know. I'm going to have to think about this one. I got to get my feel down. Right now it's been in the NFL. I got to adjust here. All right, Michigan 9, and let's call it 36 to Old Minnesota. This was 38. Now it's 36. Lane 9. Minnesota, we struggle offensively, have a decent defense. They got killed by Iowa last week, 31-14 to Iowa. So they only scored 14 on Iowa, right? I don't see them doing much against Michigan. Michigan has a good defense, so it's really Minnesota's quarterback's terrible. So that gets you to what are we going to do here? But Michigan has no quarterback. All they got is that big linebacker playing running back. That's what they have. So it becomes, what do you do with the 9? This would probably be for these guys that like the 10-point teasers or to play that even. I would think that's a good play. As far as Michigan -3, probably a good play. How they beat USC is just incredible. That with no offense, just handing the ball to the running back, they were able to score, and they had the big pick 6. So maybe you don't throw to the guy Johnson or whoever that All-American is. Maybe go to the other way for these little 5-yard passes. And what are you thinking? Who's calling the plays? I thought Lincoln Riley was a good play caller. Apparently not. So we'll have to see on this one. Hey, Real D. Thoughts on U of A with the bad news? I like Fresno State's my thought. So I assume what you're talking about is we're going to pay their quarterback NIL money, and they are not paying him, or they haven't paid him yet. They're a good team, Vegas. I don't think there should be NIL anyway. I don't think any of these players should get paid. They get a free education, which is worth $100,000. If that ain't getting paid, I don't know. And these guys don't even play in the bowl games; they opt out, which is a disgrace to the team and the college. This is amateur athletics. Nobody should be getting paid to play, because then so you pay your quarterback, whatever. What are you paying your offensive line? Oh, they're not getting paid. Well, come on in. I'm not going to block for this guy. Or he better start paying me $50,000 to be offensive lineman. And you get into all sorts of problems. And then it's the richer teams sign all the good players, which sucks because that's not what this is. College football. And I don't like it at all. These transfers I don't like. Well, I'm not good enough. I'm the backup, so I'm going to switch schools. But now this NIL stuff, yeah, how are you feeling, Florida State? You got Uglia Buglia, which you gave a couple $1 million to, and you're this guy's like the worst quarterback in the country. Freshmen on the bench are better than this guy. So I don't know that it seems like a really stupid thing. Now, is he not playing? I kind of heard something about it. Like he's just going to quit, which I don't know what that's going to benefit him. He should play, or he should, I don't know how it works, right? Do you get paid up front? Like, okay, I'm going to sign with you, but as soon as I get that check, or what are you doing? But why are you playing 4 games without a check? And then now you're saying, well, no, I'm not going to play. You can't do that. You either get paid up front or you don't. It's like the movie 8 Men Out, where why were they fixing the game until they got paid? They shouldn't have fixed anything. Let me see the money. And only that Eddie Seacock saw the money. The other guy, the other pitcher, was an idiot. He should have not thrown the game if he wasn't getting paid. And Charlie Sheen and all those guys, bunch of fucking idiots. You pay me first for something like that. This is like football. You pay me, then I give you the picks. Sorry, I don't give you the picks until you pay me. There's some people that want a payment plan or a discount. We talk about it up front, and I'll give a little bit off, but not a lot. And it's got to be worth my while. And that's why I came up with these classes, to still get paid, but give the discount to some people. And that's kind of what I'm doing. But no pay, no class. No pay, no picks. You've got to get paid for your services, right? You paint a house. I want to get paid for the painting equipment and everything, half, and then I'll paint it. And when you're satisfied, I get the other half. That kind of that's like the only thing like that where you could kind of, because if I pay you up front, you might not come back and paint. So I've got to make sure you're going to paint my house, and I'll pay you after the job. But stuff like this is ridiculous. The guy, if I was the kid, I would keep playing, because I can get a big paycheck in the pros. I'm a pretty good quarterback. Vegas is a real good team. So if he's out, I like Fresno State because Mikey Keene's playing. I assume he got paid. All right. Connecticut, 6.5, 44.5 to Buffalo. I don't understand this line. Buffalo is an under team, but they just beat Northern Illinois, our team. So I can't imagine them beating Northern Illinois and not being able to beat Connecticut. That's strange line there. Boston College, 12.5, 55 to Western Kentucky. I can find it. Here it is. Well, we can keep it 13.55. Western Kentucky is a very good team. Boston College beat Florida State, which doesn't seem to mean anything anymore. They had a good game with Michigan State. I don't know here. I think it's. I think this is a pretty good game here. I don't think BC blows them out. Indiana 753 to Maryland. I really like Indiana this year. The James Madison coach. They went and blew out UCLA. This team looks for real, for sure. Maryland, I don't know. K-State, 555.5 to Oak State. 555.5. This is a real tough one because K-State's a very good team. Oak State, Bowman's okay. They struggle with Utah. Utah's got that fantastic defense. K-State's got a fantastic defense too. They got a 20. I don't like their quarterback. He's more just the option running, so he throws okay. As we saw against BYU, he struggled. Oak State doesn't really have that strong of a defense. They got Ollie Gordon, but they don't seem to be using him. Or the teams are just stacking the box and making Alan Bowman beat them, which he can't. This is a real good game here. K-State, Oak State, 5. Do I want Oak State in 11? I don't want to really fuck with Kansas State. 55.5. We'll have to see. Maybe it's an under game. I don't know. The Navy, 3.5, 57.5 to UAB. The line went from 56.5 to 57.5. Navy I have as an over team, and UAB an E team. So Navy is a 25 defense. UAB is a 24. Navy's running it down your throat, 445 yards a game, and UAB's balanced, but only 377. Navy blew out somebody last week. It was somebody decent. Memphis. They beat Memphis 56-44. They play a 100-point game, Navy, with Memphis. I love it. Here you got them with UAB, who's not that explosive. I'd love Navy as a dog here. Unfortunately, they're not, which I'm kind of surprised. But, yeah, I mean, Army and Navy are really good teams this year. North Carolina State, Northern Illinois, NC State, 6.5 and 47. Where the hell are they? They make them out of order. They put them in order. Where did it go? NC State. Oh, there's the top game. Jesus. 6.5, 7, and 47. That's about the same. Northern Illinois, I got as an 18 with the 17 defense, beat Notre Dame, and then loses to Buffalo. Okay. Yeah. Balanced team, 462. NC State's an over team with a real shitty defense because they played Tennessee, and Tennessee blew them out. 300 offense. But here's the point. Oklahoma held Tennessee to 25, 28 points last year. What was that final? It was 25-15. So Oklahoma held them down pretty good, which I thought they wouldn't get 60 points on Oklahoma. I said that. So this is really, what do we do here? I think Northern Illinois is a live dog, just like the Ohio, the Notre Dame game. But then how did they lose to Buffalo? And they only scored 20 on Buffalo. So it really is confusing. Is NC State's defense that bad? No, because it was 60 of it was against Tennessee. So they're probably not a 38, but they're probably not that good of a team. Interesting. Tulane, 564.5 to South Florida. Down from 6. Let's go 5.5. And 64.5. South Florida is a very good team. They had Miami a little bit, and then it fell apart on them. Tulane lost to Oklahoma. So you're trying to, how good are they against good teams? Tulane was very good last year. The coach isn't there anymore, right? He's at Houston. So um, South Florida's an over team with a 30 defense, and Tulane's a B team with a 25 defense. I got to study Tulane's quarterback a little bit better, but I'm leaning towards over in the game just because South Florida is such an explosive team, and I don't think Tulane's defense is all that, but we'll have to see. It's a 25 defense, but they did play to Oklahoma, who doesn't have much of an offense. James Madison, they put up 70 points on North Carolina. I loved it. 20 and a half, 57 and a half to Ball State. Let's take a look at this game. James Madison is an A team. Ball State is the over team with the 44 defense. Okay, they get 328, mostly passing on offense. James Madison balanced with 436. They have this fast quarterback. It's a lot like Jefferson at Arkansas. He's now at UCF, where he's a very good runner. And this guy's fast, but he can throw the ball pretty damn accurate. 20 and 57. It's about, let's call it 21. Ball State's an over team. I don't know. You put up 70 on a North Carolina team. What are you going to do with Ball State with the 44 defense? And it wasn't a fluke. The quarterback, they were running like option, faking into like Oklahoma offense with the wishbone, but only he could throw the ball. I was watching yesterday. By the second quarter, they had like 40 points on North Carolina. I mean, they scored every time they had the ball like in 2 minutes. So, yeah, I mean, this has got to be an over game. Let me check it again. This could be our free play. It's 57. We need 51 with the team that just scored 70 on North Carolina, not Akron, right? That's the other key to it. So, have to check. This looks like a maybe. This looks like a very, very good play because Ball State's an over team. So they're going to help us, right? When you bet the over, you need both teams helping you. You can't like Ole Miss, but they don't get help from the other team. They don't get over. Well, that's why you need that help. Like when Ole Miss plays Kentucky, that's the same problem. Kentucky's not going to help us. So it's going to be Ole Miss basically shutting them out. Are they going to get to 52? God, 52. It's such a low number for an Ole Miss game, isn't it? I'll have to look at this. This helps me get into it. Then I'll put scores down later, and then we'll start making our picks tomorrow. Tomorrow is Army Temple. Interesting. Okay. Texas State, Sam Houston. Excellent game here. Texas State is 8.5, 56.5 to Sammy Houston. Sam Houston's been playing pretty well this year. Texas State's outstanding. Good quarterback. A team with a 23 defense. Sam Houston's a B team with a 21. Sam Houston's mostly a rushing team, 331 a game, whereas Texas State is a passing team, 452, which we know they're a passing team. Sam Houston, pretty decent defense, 56. Doesn't that seem very low in a Texas State game? I know Sam Houston's got a fairly good defense, but it's not Oklahoma. It's Sam Houston. Does Sam play? Is he like the quarterback? Sam Houston. I love it. That's like Vince Lombardi College. Marshall, 354.5 to Western. Again, find this garbage here. They get out of order, and I'm like, where the fuck's Marshall? And then I found, okay, here. See, they're way down in the middle of the page. 3.5. So I got them at 5.5. So Marshall down to 3.5. 54.5. That's where it was. Western's an over team, a 38 defense. Marshall's a B team, a 28 defense. This should be points, but I got to see what how their quarterbacks are. The Battle of the Georgias. Georgia State 3.5, 58 to Georgia Southern. Now, I've been thinking Georgia Southern is the better team. They are an over team with a 35 defense. They mostly pass for 311 a game. They don't pass for 311. They're more of a passing team. Total yards are 311. Georgia State's an E team with a 30 defense, and they mostly pass for 400. Again, a 58. I'm like stunned by these lines. I mean, this is clearly an over game. You got a 35 and a 30 defense. You got a Georgia Southern who's an over team. Georgia State's okay. They're an E. They probably score 25 a game. You've got a rivalry. You know, I think you can take the dog. You can take the over. How many ways do you want to play this game? But this is, I got to check the injuries. But yeah, I thought Georgia Southern was the better team. They're the ones who put up like 50 points on Boise early in the year. Ohio, with all their injuries, 12 and 46 to Akron. Uh, 12 and 46. That line hasn't changed. Akron's the Z team. Ohio is a W. They don't score a lot, but they have a 26 defense. Akron only gets 238 yards a game. Granted, they played, I believe, Ohio State and somebody else, or they played a big boy, but they should have more than 238. You got a 43 defense. Again, playing Ohio State or Tennessee, giving up 60 doesn't help them. Can Ohio, they're not an offensive team, able to take advantage of this 43 defense? And this is the question. This will have to see their quarterbacks and injuries and stuff. There's a lot of guys injured. I know Ohio, I believe. I don't. Covers hasn't updated their injury. They still show Cam Rising out as of 2 weeks ago. So I don't know. The Vegas game we're talking about, 1.5, 48.5. It was 3, and it was 52. Now, Fresno State, Mikey Keene, they played Michigan, very good team. A 20 defense. They passed mostly 400 yards a game. Vegas, an A team, 14 defense, really strong defense, and they mostly run the ball for 400. Is the quarterback not playing really an issue? I don't think it is, because if it's just a running type of team, so you get somebody else to hand it off. He's got to have backups because he's got to be prepared for injuries. So this would be an interesting game. I'm not going to – this now seems like an under if the quarterback's out, if he was any good. And we'll see. And if the backup hasn't played, this is where you get really fucked because you don't know how good the backup is. He hasn't played. I don't know who he is. Where Fresno State, we got Mikey Keene. Mikey should be able to keep us in the game. But again, you've got this rough defense from Fresno State, or from Vegas. Fresno State's okay. They did play Michigan. Should have been a 20-17 game. Again, this pick six, like, I don't know what you're doing. But, yeah, we'll see what happens there. But this should be a real good game. We'll have to figure out the backup quarterback. Central, 2.5, 53.5 to San Diego State. San Diego State's always a terrible offense, good defense. Same thing again, under 22, 300 yards of offense. Central's more of an over team, a 32 defense, and 400 yards of balanced offense. So being at Central, this is where they're going to have problems against a good defense like San Diego State. So do we get well, we didn't lose the Alabama Wisconsin. We had it under and we won. So here we go again. USC 15.5, 51. Up from 14. USC we saw last week. one of the worst defensive coordinators I've ever seen. We're going to run the ball up the middle, and we're on the other team, and Michigan's going to run the ball up the middle, and we're not going to tackle them. I mean, what the fuck was that? What the fuck he did in the first half, not throwing the ball, 3rd and 1, let's run up the middle and lose 3 yards. I hate that shit. Why are you running up the middle against Michigan where you had this everything that is art of war? Is that their weak point, Michigan, running the ball up the middle at 2 or 3 All-American defensive linemen? Is that your play? Is that going against their weakness? And you're not a running team, so it ain't yours. You're a passing guy. You should do the you got to do the Dave Casper play. You got to play action pass that, hit the tight end. That would be a good play against Michigan. Not running into the wall. I hate that. It's 3rd and 1. We'll run up though. It's 4th and 1. We're aggressive. We got to run. Let's run up the middle and lose 2 yards. Coach, that was like the dumbest play I've ever. Why did you go for it on 4? If that was your play on 4th down, why didn't you punt? Well, I want to be aggressive and show how I have confidence in my players. God, you could throw up watching these games. So Wisconsin, Van Dyke's out, 23 defense, mostly because of Alabama. USC, a 16 defense, mostly, because Michigan doesn't have an offense. And they beat LSU, should have beat Michigan, terrible loss. They should be angry after the loss. Here we go, Wisconsin going to Southern Cal. Like, whose idea was this to merge the Pac-10 and the Big Ten? What a stupid idea. USC 16 defense, 435 if they pass it. I would think after the loss, USC should win. What's Wisconsin going to do? They have Van Dyke, and he's injured, and they're a passing team now, I guess. The defense, I doubt will do much against this if he passes the ball. So I don't know. USC, they did beat LSU close, and then they had Michigan at the end, and then here's Wisconsin. I just, they should be playing the Vegas quarterback, in my opinion. Liberty 3.5, 62.5 to App State. 3 to 3.5, 62 to 62.5. Liberty's the A team, a 21 defense. They are balanced offense, 454 yards. App State is a W team, which we have never called App State a W team in 5 years. Terrible defense, 36. They obviously have a new coach, and he don't know what he's doing. 400. They passing with Joey Aguilar, good quarterback, 438 yards a game. They did lose to Clemson by 100. What do we do with Liberty? Liberty's the A team here. They should eat up. They have a good quarterback in Salter. App State with Aguilar. Do we go over in this game? I got to look at this game closer to see how Liberty's defense is going to do. But Liberty should light it up against the 36 defense. But again, most of it's Clemson putting up 66. So you're getting all these skewing. So even doing my method with the numbers is a little bit skewed by, Clemson put up 70 on them. So they're really not a 36. They're maybe more of a 26. But again, how the fuck do you know? Now this game, this might be our free game. Notre Dame is 6-45 to Louisville. Was 48. Wow, this total really went down. Notre Dame with the good defense. Now this is 2 A teams going at it. Louisville with an 11 defense. Notre Dame with a 10. What did Louisville play last week? It was a pretty good team. Oh, I had against Georgia Tech. They beat Georgia Tech 31-19. So holding Georgia Tech to 19 is impressive. And They went from 554 yards of offense to 500 now. So they went down a lot. This is an A versus A, and two strong defenses. I like Louisville's coach a lot better than Notre Dame's. I don't know over under 48. I might have went under 45. I don't know. But if Louisville didn't go over with Georgia Tech, now again, this is Georgia Tech with the ball at the 5-yard line, 4th and goal, and instead of kicking the field goal and I win my over, they go for it. It's unbelievable. I mean, if they kick a field, because I got 51, it's 50. It's 31-19, it's 50. I got a whole fourth quarter, and I think I have like 6 minutes, but I got the ball at the 5, kicked the field goal, and I won. And it's like, why do they want to go for 4? And the ironic part is they never make them. All you see is go for 4th. They don't make it. The other team gets the ball. The other team wins. And most of them are runs up the middle. Yeah, let's run up the middle and not gain any yardage. That's what we're doing here. So it's insane. I think Louisville is a live dog in this game. I don't know about over under. Notre Dame. Oh, Riley Leonard's so bad, isn't he? He's a running quarterback who isn't much of a runner and can't throw. Louisville. I think Tyler Shaw from Texas Tech is their quarterback, so you can see why. So I think Louisville is live here. I think they could easily win the game. I kind of think they're a better team than Notre Dame. I don't think Notre Dame. The only reason they're favored is they're at home. I have them as a 3-point favorite in my line. 6, I think, is a bit strong here. They're underplaying Louisville, who you can beat Georgia Tech. You got my vote. Miami of Ohio, 17.5, 45.5 to UMass. Where the hell's that? Okay. It was 18, 17.5, and 47, 46. I'm not going to scribble on my pad. UMass is Z team, 33 defense, and a 339 passing yard offense. Miami of Ohio, an under team, 23 defense, and they only get 286 yards of offense, and that's mostly passing. So it's like 200 yards passing, 86 yards running. What do you see? They're not the type of team that I want to go over with, right? Or I want to bet against the Z team. They just don't. You want more of an over team, or at least somebody that gets 30 points a game against UMass. But Miami of Ohio just doesn't score. They're an under, means they're scoring like 15 a game with the 23 defense. So yeah, that's where I kind of, even though they're the Z, I don't want them as against the Z. Good game. A&M 4, 52.5 to Arkansas. Where are you, boys? Here you are. A&M was 3, up to 4, and 52.5. All right, it's about what it was. Arkansas, B team, 20 defense, 479 balanced offense. A&M, an A team, 18 defense, and they mostly run for 400 yards. This should be a doggy game. It usually is. I usually play the dog in this game. I think it's usually at the Jerry Dome, because he's an Arkansas guy. So normally normally this game's played there. Normally it's close. So don't know what to do here. Arkansas has been playing okay. They don't have Jefferson anymore. They got a new quarterback. I need to study the quarterbacks here. Wake, 3.5, 60.5 to Lou Lafayette. There we go. 3.5 and 60.5. Lou Lafayette's an 18. They played a good game with who was it? Tulane, I think. They played a tight one. Wake Forest, they're struggling. I don't like their quarterback, Bachmeier. He's terrible. He was at Boise. He sucked. Last year he was somewhere he sucked, and now he's at Wake and he's sucking. I don't buy they're an over team. They didn't show up against Old Mississippi last week. And 28 defense. Lou Lafayette, balanced offense, 431. Wake, a passing, 428. I think Lou Lafayette can win this game. We'll see how good they are, but I think they can definitely hang in there. Oklahoma and Auburn. Here we go. Oklahoma went from 3 down to, we'll call it 2, and come on, and 45 and a half, 46. All right. 2. What do we know about Oklahoma? They held Tennessee to 25 points. They switched quarterbacks, which leads you to understand why the hell they went with the guy who played the last 2 games if this guy's better. They get Auburn, who is what? What is Auburn? Auburn is a B team. Oklahoma with a 15 defense, Auburn with a 17. Auburn balanced 411 yards. I think they got Hugh Freeze or one of those option guys as coach. Oklahoma, here's their problem, 263 yards a game. Now, they played Tulane, they played Houston, and now they played Tennessee, and they don't generate. They got 16 points on Houston, 15 on Tennessee, and they got like 34 on Tulane. They played very good schedule. And now you get at Auburn. So now you're in the SEC world. I don't know. You got a 15 defense and a 17 and a new quarterback. I wouldn't touch Auburn as a dog. Maybe we go under. I'm not sure. Oklahoma, they're going to win. Ain't going to win by a lot. Eastern Michigan, 46 and a half. Up from 46 and a half, down from 48. Eastern's a B team, a 20 defense, balanced offense, but only 300 yards a game. Clark Kent is a Z team. They've been getting buried. 51 defense. I think Penn State buried them last week. 161 yards of offense. See, this is what you have to realize when you're betting college football. Kent State goes to Ohio State and gets killed, or Penn State and gets killed. That's what I mean. It's like the horse that's out of their league, and now they're back with the horse in their league. It's normal competition for them. So now they're in the MAC. And so you've got Eastern and Kent. This is Kent. And they're in the MAC. So they're a Z team out of the MAC. But what are they in the MAC? And that's what that's why I tend to take the last 5 games once we're in conference, which we are now. So I'll go out 5 weeks and then say, well, what's Kent really? Forget the Ohio State, the Penn State, whoever the fuck they played, who beat them 62-0. Obviously they can't handle that, but what are they against MAC teams, especially when they play UMass, the Z team, and Akron, the Z team? There's 3 or 4 Z teams in the MAC because they'll get beaten up by Alabama and Ohio State and Michigan. So this would be an interesting one. I think Eastern's a pretty good team. I think they can beat them. They beat Jacksonville State Eastern, so they're pretty good. Kent, but it's at Kent. I don't know. We gotta research Eastern. UCF against Prime. UCF 14 and 64 and a half, up from 63 against Prime Junior. Prime Junior, Baylor beat him up until the end. I think that was a WWF game, by the way. I think Ric Flair knew he was going to win, and then they pulled the chair out at the end and won, because there's no way Colorado should have completed that pass at the end unless it was just total bullshit, which is what it was. The coach should be fired. Whoever made that, I think it's the head coach, should be fired. That was the worst last play to prevent a long pass I've ever seen in my life. UCF is an A team, 17 defense, and they run for 565. And they got Bobby's friend Jefferson, who he hates, as the quarterback, and he's looking really good. He runs good. They got some good runners, and he can throw enough. But they're mostly a run it down your throat team. We saw Nebraska run it down their throat 28-10. UCF with a 17 defense. Then we've got Prime. We know that right now they're an E team. They got a 24 defense, which we know is not even accurate. And they got a mostly passing team, 400 yards of offense. So in Prime, we're going to pass the ball. I'm not going to have my son throw an interception, so he's going to take 10 sacks a game. We can't run, and we don't have a defense. Going against one of the strongest offenses, especially run it down your throat offenses. I mean, this is going to be ugly early. UCF, I can't see how they don't win by 30 points. Okay, does Prime throw for some touchdowns? Maybe, but UCF's not a bad defense. There were 17 defenses. This isn't a 35 defense. So what happened in the Nebraska game? 28-10. And Nebraska ran it down their throat and played good defense and sacked them 5 times. And I think UCF is going to they're just going to run it down their throats. Prime will get some. They'll be going on 4th down. We'll be throwing up. But there's no way Colorado can win this game because they don't have the defense to win it. You're talking about a 565 UCF who played TCU 35-34. They beat TCU 35-34, running it down TCU's throat, who's a much better defense than this. Let's see if I have TCU. Yeah, TCU is a 32 defense. Okay, so they ran it down their throat here. Colorado at 24. But what did Baylor do to them last week? Baylor was it was 30. Well, let's say it was 31-24. So Baylor puts up 31 on them. 31-24 goes to overtime, which should never have done, and then they win. So it ends 38-31. But that's really realistically 31-24. So you get a 55 there. Here, this line is 64. But UCF's going to get a lot more than 31 points. They'll have 31 in the first half. So we'll see if we make this our free play. But I like UCF a lot here. It's just a good matchup. TCU and Kansas. Speaking of TCU, we've got Kansas 2-59 to TCU. I think TCU is a live dog here. Kansas's quarterback's terrible, Daniels. TCU is an over team with a 32 defense, passing mostly 443. Hoover looks better. Kansas is a B team with a 20 defense, but their quarterback stinks, and they're mostly trying to run it. Their defense, they're better. They're a better defensive team this year. They've been a better offensive team. But if they get down in this game, they're in trouble. I think TCU is a very live dog here, getting 8. I don't think Kansas can beat them by 8. 59, I think TCU can score on them. I don't know what Kansas will do. So I'll be surprised if this doesn't. Well, what do we need? 53. We need 28, 24 is 52. Yeah, it'll be close because Kansas doesn't have the offense. Duke against North Carolina. As I said, this is a big rivalry. Duke is down to 2.5 and over under 56. So that line hasn't moved. North Carolina gave up 100 points to James Madison last week. Oh my God. So what do we think Duke's going to do, right? Duke's a B team with a good defense, 15 defense. North Carolina has a good running back. Their quarterback's terrible. 29 defense, and that's being kind after giving up 70. Balance 434 offense. Duke a passing 360. We got to check Duke's quarterback. Normally, this should be I'm guessing this is a dog play because it's a rivalry. You just gave up 70 points. Now, what the fuck are you doing out there if you're giving up 70 points? So I would expect a lot of new faces on defense. And it was a very fast quarterback who just did option football, ran around the end, and they couldn't even, and he just scored. I mean, they couldn't catch him. So that was kind of a fluke. But I think here, rivalry, I think this will be, this is definitely probably a tease the dog game. East Carolina, 456 to UTSA. East Car, right underneath. 456 from 454. UTSA is bad this year. They're a W. 32 defense. They pass for 335 a game. East Car is a balanced team. They played somebody pretty good the other week. 18 defense and 400. Well, last week they had a good game. The East Car. Where are the boys? East Car. Maybe your page 2. No, maybe your page 1. East Car. They had a good game against a good team. Oh, here they played Liberty, and Liberty beat them 35-24. That's a good team, Liberty. So where are we at now? East Car is 4 over UTSA, 18. UTSA is just not that good. We will see. But UTSA is struggling to replace their quarterback. Texas, 38.5, 62.5. Mississippi State got killed by somebody last week. I mean, it was a huge loss. Oh, no, they got killed by Toledo a couple of weeks ago. Last week, I don't know. No, it's the Toledo game. They gave up like 70 points to Toledo. They might not have played last week or got killed again. And they get Texas with, we'll see if it's Arch Manning or Peyton Manning or Eli Manning or one of the Mannings playing versus or Ewers playing. Ewers getting better. I don't think he'll play in this game because it's a high school team. So Mississippi State, an over team with a 31 defense. The quarterback is out. They only have 377 yards anyway. And Texas has been beating everybody by 50 points. They got a 6 defense. They did blow out Michigan, and they got a 420 balanced offense. Again, it's Old Mississippi. They should kill them. 62. I don't know if Old Mississippi State can score with the quarterback being out. They're not going to really score. So this is all Texas. Now, do you lay 32 in a conference game? That's a tough one there. All right. Bowling Green against Old Dominion. Bowling Green 9-51. The Bowlers up from 49. People betting. The analytics team betting the over in this game for some reason. Old D's a very good defensive team. Hate to break it to the people betting it over. Old D, W team, a 27 defense. They only get 343 offense. Bowling Green, an offensive team, 26 an over team, 26 defense, and they get about 400. Hard to say. Bowling Green played Penn State pretty good last week. I forget what they did. We will see, but 9, maybe if we can get under 9. Well, there's an 8. Okay. So maybe you get an 8.5. Maybe you take it under 3. It is at Bowling Green, Kentucky. Florida International, Lutech, 2.5, 51.5 against Florida International. Lutech 233 yards of offense, Florida International 334. So it's a real pitcher's duel here. LTAC 23 defense, Florida International 33 defense. Troy 7 and 45.5 to Lou Monroe. Troy is not what they used to be. They're an E team with a really weak defense, 29. The Notre Dame offensive coordinator fucking things up, 309 yards. Lou Monroe's an under team with a 24 defense and a 234 offense. So they're probably like a 17 offense with the 24 defense. I just called them under. Troy shouldn't be 7-point favorites over anybody. Lou Monroe, we'll have to check their quarterback out. Good game here. Houston and Iowa State. We got Iowa State. Where are you? Iowa State's laying 14, 43 to Houston from 44. Iowa State beat Iowa. Good quarterback, Rocco Beck, put up 65 points against the high school team last week. 10 defense. We saw how good they were at the end of the Iowa game. Very strong, good offense, great coach. Houston, great coach. Right now, they're an under team with a 21 defense, and they only get 271 yards a game because Donovan Smith's terrible. Iowa State's getting 400, mostly passing because Rocco Beck's a really good quarterback. So you got 14, which you hate to go over 7, unfortunately. Over under 43.5. We got a 10 defense, Iowa State. Houston, I've been betting under, and I've been winning under with them the last 3 weeks. Iowa State isn't under. This probably stays under, in my opinion, just because of the way Houston's been playing. No offense at all. I mean, a good defense. North Texas and Tulsa. Interesting. North Texas, big play for us last week, laying 1 against the Z team. They killed them. Wyoming it was. They are 6.5 and 68.5, down from 69. They are extremely explosive, North Texas, 35 defense. Tulsa, very explosive team in their own right with a 30 defense, 68.5. Yeah, that's probably doable. North Texas probably puts up 50 points in this game easily. Question's what's Tulsa going to do? Clemson and Stanford. I watched Stanford and Syracuse, and Stanford won. Game was at Syracuse. Now, well, I don't know what does the college team do? They got to fly back to Stanford and fly back to Clemson. Seems kind of weird. Clemson 21.5, 57.5. Stanford's a pretty good team this year, 22 defense. Clemson with a 30 defense. They're an over team. After the Georgia mess, they're now they're passing 432 a game. Stanford's passing 325. Stanford's quarterback's kind of one of these option dual quarterbacks. When you can't find a quarterback, you go to the dual quarterback. Well, he can at least run because we can't block for him. So we have that. So Clemson's been red hot since the Georgia game. That shows you how good Georgia is. They gave them 3 points, and they've been scoring 60 ever since. So we'll see. 21.5, I think, is too big of a number to give Stanford. Down to 15.5, I still think that's too big. 57.5, maybe that's where you go, is over on the game. Because Clemson's not shutting. What was Clemson's score last week? They killed somebody. They beat North Carolina State 59-35, who's a pretty well. They did have a decent defense till then, but you see, Clemson's not holding. So yeah, we can get points in this game. Rice and Charlotte. Rice 746.5 to Charlotte. Charlotte's the Z team, terrible team. 37 defense, and a whopping 267 offense. Rice is an over team with a 27, but only see. I get confused. Points wise, they're over, which means they could get a lot of returns. But when you look at their offense, it's balanced, but it's only 300 yards a game. So how the hell are they getting all these points? I think this could be another one of these. Let's play against Charlotte because they're the Z team. Art of War, we bet against weakness. I think that would work here. Memphis, Middle Tennessee. Memphis, 25.5. Where are we on page 2? Yes, we are. Memphis, 25.5, up from 24.5. And 61, still the same. Middle Tennessee, the Z team, a 43 defense. They pass for 344 a game, not, total yards. Memphis is the A team. They give up 21 a game. They're mostly passing 430. They did get killed by the Navy last week, so they're going to be a little upset. They're at home against the Z team. Go Memphis, beat Army, I think. In our feature game, Georgia 48.5 to Alabama. A 6 defense against a 9 defense, a rivalry game, an A team versus an A team. I got 9 ways Sunday to tease the dog in this game. This is a revenge game. If Alabama was favored, it would be a lock Georgia, but they're not. The way I watched the Alabama-Wisconsin game, and it doesn't tell you because Van Dyke was out. Georgia, believe me, is not going to play the way they did against Kentucky. They're going to play the way they played Clemson, 31-3 or 33-3. I don't know about Alabama holding them to 3, but definitely Georgia gets more than 13 points like they got on Kentucky. Like they said, we always struggle in our first ACC game, but not. Hey, Todd, my North Texas team. Love the North Texas. Yeah, I love the North Texas team. They're just explosive. They're like Texas State's also a very strong team. So what do we do with Georgia, Bama? So let's go through it. Georgia, a 6 defense, an A team, 372 yards offense. Again, they're missing Brock Bowers. Alabama, the A team with a 9 defense, and they are a balanced 435. A lot of it Milrose running. Can Georgia stop the Milrose run? Well, they need to blitz. Are they going to blitz him? Because if you blitz him, he can't get going. But once he's out in the open, he's tough to get down. You need good secondary help. Georgia with the 3 offensive linemen out, has trouble maybe, but Kentucky really didn't. Kentucky got 6 on South Carolina, so it's not like you gave up 12 to Kentucky. You did anything good there. So you have no idea. Again, but now let's look at Clemson. 34-3 first week, somewhere around there. And now Clemson scoring 50 points, 60 points. They had a 66 and a 59-point game, 59 against NC State, which apparently sucks because Tennessee put up 70 on them. And they held them to 3. And I'd like to see them play them now and hold them to 3. Well, we don't know. Georgia will come because they almost lost, and it's revenge. And this is for number 1, right? They want to be number 1. That's their goal. We don't know how good. We know DeBoer's a good coach, although he fucked up against Michigan. But he beat Oregon twice last year. So Alabama's a very live dog here. I would probably go Alabama +8 before I take Georgia +4. However, if it goes to 1 or even, I would take Georgia and 5 or 6. This will probably end up being a field goal game. This is going to be a very tough game to score. Alabama's not doing what they did to Wisconsin. And Georgia, this could be like a Georgia-Kentucky game in the fact it might be like 20-19. Nobody's getting into the 40s here. 48.5. That's a big number. See, you're blinded by Alabama's offense. It ain't going to show up here. Not against Georgia. Just like I told you, Tennessee, Oklahoma. Tennessee's not scoring 60 on Oklahoma, and they didn't. 25-15. Same thing here. Alabama's not lighting up 40 points against Georgia. That has never happened, right? Milrose is okay. I mean, we know he's a good kind of dual quarterback. What happened in the Michigan game? He fucking fumbled, bastard. So Georgia 372 yards, Alabama 435, but they played Western Kentucky and then another crap team and then the big Wisconsin game, the quarterback gets hurt. And it was a cheap shot. He hit him like he was running out of bounds, and the guy like fell on him and like hurt his knee. I mean, it was real cheap. Just like that Baylor on Cam Rising where he pushed him into the cooler. It was a real bullshit call there. Hey, Nutton. I've been well. Thank you very much, Nutton. Celtic salt. Take a little Celtic salt. Drink some water. 82 minerals. It'll keep you healthy. And lots of water, apparently. Apparently you get sick because you don't have enough water in your system. And what did they say? So like when you're eating, there's a lot of acid in your stomach. And if you didn't drink enough water, it starts like eating itself. And then that's when you get ulcers and stuff like that. So you got to drink more water to keep lubricated and then go eat then. Real D is Cam Rising game with he's been game time decision for 2 years now. I mean, I saw him pregame and he couldn't really grip the ball and throw it well. I assume he's not playing. We'll get to the Cam Rising game shortly if I can find Utah. Where are they? Utah. Okay, yeah, they're Arizona. They're the last game. I would just assume he's not. Let's see. The line is 12, which seems like he's playing. It's Arizona. Arizona's got no defense. They should be able to beat them with the defense and running. And again, I'm getting so sick of game time decision with him. I don't know if it's the coach fucking around with the other coach going, I'm not going to tell you if Cam Rising's playing. And then he doesn't, but you had to prepare for him, right? So I think he's probably monkeying around with them because he knew you could see he could barely, it's these two fingers on his throwing hand. He could barely grip the ball to really throw the ball, right? It's like when I get gut on my left foot and it's hard to walk on it, right? So if I had to run, I'd be dead. But I can't really put a lot of weight on my left foot because of the gout when I get it. And so therefore I'm not at full speed. And you could see he just isn't at full speed. He needs the castor oil to help his fingers and his knee and everything. But we don't know. I don't know. Let me read when I get there. But right now we're at Alabama and Georgia. So I haven't figured out my score yet. I'll do that tonight. I'm getting in. I've been really into the NFL going, what the fuck's going on with this league? It's as shitty as baseball and basketball now. It is. They'll call it parity, which means the teams suck. And most of the teams are inconsistent. How Cincinnati's letting fucking Washington, you're letting Daniels, you didn't sack him once in the game. Who's their defensive coordinator? Jesus Christ. Did they go to the guy from New England? Patricia, is Matt Patricia their defensive coordinator now? You got to stay hydrated. Absolutely. I'm in Florida. Hydration is real. Well, yeah, with the heat. NFL has been crazy. Well, that's why I really am pissed because I don't lose in the NFL. I'm a little pissed right now. So I think this is a low-scoring Georgia-Alabama game. We'll get to the score once I feel it. Once I go into osmosis and see it. But I just I don't see a lot of points in this game. I mean, Georgia could light up Kentucky. They're not lighting up Alabama, but Alabama, you do not light up Georgia. So I think this will be a lower scoring game, probably a tease the dog game. The board's very good. I think Milrose will score some. I just don't think Georgia will score all that much. So we will see. Haven't come up with it, but I this is definitely Alabama's not putting 40 up on Georgia. No fucking way. Ohio State, Michigan State, very interesting game. Ohio State 23.5. Where are they? From 25 down to 23.5. People betting on Michigan State. Hard to believe. 48.5. Ohio State's an 8 team, 7 defense, played a bunch of high school teams. And I told you against what was it, Marshall, they would not score as much, and they didn't. Michigan State, they got the Oregon State coach and quarterback. Now, the Oregon State quarterback struggling. He was a freshman last year. Oogler Boogler played most of it, and he sucked. I don't know if he played, but now he's played a few games. They played Boston College fairly well. They played Maryland. Well, fellas, this is a upper tier. This is Ohio State, probably the best team in the league, in the country with this offense defense. But we'll see when they go to Oregon if it's them or Oregon who's the best team. Georgia's losing a little slack. Alabama hasn't played anybody. So this is usually a rivalry. However, this is a weird game. Ohio State wins at Michigan State, and Michigan State wins at Ohio State. It's a very weird one. Like when Ohio State goes to Penn State, that's when Penn State pulls the upset. But the game's in Ohio, Ohio wins. Ohio State and Michigan, there is nothing. It's take the dog, and that's it. Here, Ohio State usually pulled it off, 23.5, 17.5, over under 49. Boy, I would think, I think 48.5. I'll take the half point. I think Ohio State, I think they get over 48.5 here. Real D. Defensive coordinator, Mr. Soon to be looking for a job. Well, Soon should be working at Kroger's with the Baylor defensive coordinator, because the shit I saw Baylor do on the last play, it shows me that this guy has no concept of being a defensive coach. And I think it was the head coach. He's got no concept. He should be fired because he doesn't even understand what they're doing. Why would you put 3 guys on this side and 1 guy on this side? Like, well, he said, well, we're playing the quarterback's hand. Like the quarterback can't run the other way, right? Unbelievable. I'm watching this game. I'm watching that last couple of plays. I don't care. I got 8.5. It's our lock. We won. Even if they get it, it goes to overtime. They can win by 7. I don't give a shit. I got 8.5. How in the fuck? And then you've got guys in the end zone, but they don't run over to where the quarterback rolled this way. Why aren't the guys in the end zone running this way? There's 3 guys. Why are they in the end zone? Taking pictures? So again, you got incredibly bad defensive coordinators. Real D, the Monday night and Thursday games had so much fuckery and trickery, strictly betting Sunday games. I never trust the Thursday night games. And I really hate putting a big play on Monday night. I get into a groove on Sunday. I'm hitting everything. And then here comes Monday night. And you're like, oh, shit, now I got to do this. Now, Buffalo did what they were supposed to do. The Cincinnati game, did they fix another game? So they fixed the New England game, and now they fix this one? I mean, I wouldn't put anything past these guys. We were talking about it yesterday. Why are the Raiders in Vegas? You cannot have a pro team in Vegas of any sport and allow betting on it. You can't, because how hard is it? Don Corleone from Caesar's Palace goes to the Raiders, and next thing they know, they have Carolina with Andy Dalton hasn't played in 5 years. puts up 37 on a very good defense. Yeah, that was a real game. Oh, okay. Anyway, Ohio State, Michigan State. I think that's a low total in my word. Illinois, Penn State. Very interesting game here. Penn State's minus 18 now, up from 17, and an over-under of 47.5. Illinois is a very good team. They beat a very good Nebraska team. Penn State, good offense. I'm not sure their defense. This is 13 against 13. Penn State struggled with Bowling Green, and it hasn't played anybody. And here comes Illinois, who is a good – I like their quarterback, and Humpty Dumpty is coaching good, and the defense is solid. This game will come down at the end. Definitely like the doggy and probably the over. I got to figure out. Let's see. So LSU against South Alabama. We got LSU 22-65. South Alabama is one of the most explosive teams because Major Applewhite, the Texas quarterback's their head coach. He's like all the other like the Tennessee guy and the TCU guy. They're just explosive offenses. And that's my whole theory on betting the team, right? We bet Tennessee against the weaker defenses, but look what happened against Oklahoma. They only got 25 points. They're getting 70 a game. They get Oklahoma 25 because they went in against a very strong defense. They couldn't do it. That's why you like when they play the weak defenses. Then they put up the 50, 60 points. LSU, over team, 25 defense. South Alabama, over team, 26 defense. 500 yards of offense for South Alabama, 416 for LSU. Struggle against USC for some reason. First game for the quarterback. Over under 65. Yeah, that's where we're headed. Definitely go to the total. Cincinnati, Texas Tech, 2.5, 58.5. Back over here. They got all the Big 12 games on this side. Texas Tech. 2.5, 58.5. It was 3. And 58. Cincinnati's a good offense. Good Sorsby's a good quarterback. 16 defense. Although Pitt came on with 28, so I don't know. 460 yards, balanced offense for Cincinnati. Texas Tech, over team, 33 defense, 462. I would make Cincy a live dog in the game, and I think over 58 down to 52 is a fucking joke in this game. SMU, Florida State. Hey, they get Ooglia Booglia this week. 5.5, 48 at SMU. Now, Florida State's still got a good defense. As we know, they have no quarterback unless they're ready to move. This is Ooglia Booglia. 227 yards of offense for the Ooglier. SMU, they're actually a pretty good A team. Now, they put up 100 points on TCU last week, but they hadn't been doing that. That should have been my lock over of the year, but SMU struggled with Nevada. They struggled with another team. They lost to BYU 18-15. How the hell am I going to get an over with them? And then 70 points last week. Florida State will be another struggle for them. Scoring. Florida State 20 defense, SMU at 23. So not what we want with SMU. We want them playing a team that gives up 30 points. So it's hard to jump on them against Florida State. Wyoming and the Air Force. Air Force 4 and 34. This is coming down. It was 36. 34.5, I see. Air Force, excellent team. New quarterback. Struggling a little offensively. Great defense. 18 defense. Wyoming, the Z team that North Texas took apart last week, winning by 30. scoring 50 in the game. Air Force is not going to score 50 on you, but with the 36 defense and no offense, and Air Force with the good defense, you're looking at 200 yards of offense for both teams. What's that going to do? So, Air Force is -4. I would think they should win. Over under 34.5. Under 40, yeah, probably. I don't know if Wyoming's going to score, but Air Force, we'll see what they do. So you either think Air Force is going to win, take them +2, or it's under, but you're getting into Iowa range here at 34. So be careful with that. New Mexico State. New Mexico, 9 and 54.5. Wow, this was 58, went down to 54. I wonder if there's an injury. But really, the line didn't move. The line 9 is 9. The total moved. New Mexico, an over team, 45 defense. They get 430 yards a game. So this is a true over. And New Mexico State's a Z team with the 31 defense. New Mexico is going to have no problem scoring. The question is, New Mexico State doesn't have the offense to really light up this terrible defense of New Mexico. New Mexico State's 204, where New Mexico's 432. I think New Mexico wins. This is a rivalry game, obviously, so you got to be careful on it. Over under a 54. Again, it's probably going to be one-sided, so you might want to stick with New Mexico versus playing the over in the game. I don't know why this line went down. I know there's supposed to be some sort of hurricane in the Tampa area. My friend from Tampa, we talk Cam Rising because he's from Utah. So I guess there's no school tomorrow. It's tomorrow Thursday, and we've got to keep our eye open on Florida. So Miami plays Friday, and today is Wednesday, right? So I think it's supposed to be on the Gulf side, so Miami should be okay. Let's quickly just look for Florida games. Ole Miss, I don't know if that's a hurricane problem. Tulane's in New Orleans. Alabama, Birmingham. Auburn, no, that's Alabama. Baylor's Texas. Houston's Houston. UCF, well, that's right in the middle, but we'll see how long the hurricane lasts. This game's Saturday. It's a 64. Be very careful in this game. If it's a hurricane and there's still wind and rain, it'll be an under. So be very careful. This is right in where the hurricane is. Either way, it's going to be tough because UCF's going to have to worry and practice and everything. Let's see. Wake Forest is in North Carolina, maybe, because the winds tend to blow. So I don't know. App State's North Carolina, Duke's North Carolina, East Carolina's North Carolina. Why did they call it East Carolina if it's in North Carolina? Clemson, South Carolina. So all these games could be Troy's Alabama. Alabama's in Alabama, so that's not really Florida. I don't know if they'll be affected. Memphis, LSU, SMU, Wyoming, Boise, Utah. So I think just the UCF game. Let's see, where's Tampa playing? Tampa Bay is at home on Sunday against Philly. So we got to see how the UCF goes. And then, so I'll talk to my friend in Florida and say, how's the weather? And if Friday, it's okay. So this is Thursday, the hurricane. Does it last the day or does it blow through? I don't know. We will see. All right. So what we got? Good game here. Boise, 7.5, 63.5. Down from 65. Interesting. To Washington State. Both teams are over teams. Washington State at 30 defense. Boise at 32. Played a very good game with Oregon, 37-34. I give them credit for scoring 34 on Oregon. And both have 500 offenses. and this game went down from 65 to 63.5. How the fuck? All right. Again, we got idiots betting, so we've got to understand. It's like we have idiots coaching, we have idiots betting. Now, the only thing that stops this game from going over is let's go on 4th and 1 at the 5-yard line and not get it. That's how these overs aren't getting there, because they'll drive and it takes 5-6 minutes off the clock. But if they score a touchdown, that's fine. It's when they don't do anything and then they leave the ball at the 5. Now the other team's got the ball at the 5. They're going to milk 5-6 minutes off the clock and there's no scoring. Kick your fucking field goals. What is it that's so attractive about going on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 and not getting it and losing the game? Tell me what's attractive about it. Well, we were aggressive. One guy said they should show confidence in the offense. The offense can't score. The offense sucks. What kind of confidence in the offense? How about building confidence in the team by winning a game instead of going for these 4th down crabs? So this is 63 is 57. This is a very small number for this game. Washington State did hold Texas Tech, but they are scoring. They did score on Washington. What was that score? It was 24-19 with Washington. But Washington's got a good defense, so it was a 43. Again, a 43 with Washington with a good defense. Boise has a 32 defense and a 30 for Washington State. So a lot of points there. Here we go. Cam. Utah, I got 11 and 47.5. It opened at 12 and 50. Sounds like Cam's not playing, judging by the line drop. So the 12 is open, Cam's playing, and now probably isn't. I don't know what you can do. Arizona, an over team with the 27 defense. Fafita is very good, but Kansas State beat them 31-7. Got to be careful betting them over against good defensive teams like you have here. A passing team, 437. Utah's the A team, 13 defense, 379, balanced offense, and extremely tough at home with an extremely strong defense. No Cam, I would just say go over or go under with it with no Cam. With Cam, lay 5 points. I mean, it's a simple, again, you got to wait till game time. And I know our one friend in Iowa, Todd, they didn't have it on the board for him. Last but not least, Oregon and UCLA. Oregon 25.5, 55.5, up from 24. Oregon, a strong A team, 21 defense, killed Oregon State, beat a very good Boise team, 457 yards. And then here walks UCLA, a W team, all new coaching staff that clearly doesn't know what they're doing. The quarterback sucks. They also have a 30 defense. Last year they had a 15 defense. All the twins were defensive tackles, and another guy all went to the NFL, didn't get replaced. So you can see what's happening. Now, here's where I'm talking. Now we got Oregon against the 30 defense. That's what we want. They're lucky they didn't play them last year. Oregon would not have beat UCLA last year. But weak quarterback and a weak defense against Oregon, yeah, that's a problem. 24.5. Or it's up to 25.5. Okay. You get 19.5. It should be about right. Over under a 55. It's basically, does Oregon score, 49. Does Oregon score 49? So now I put in my own score. So this helps me revisit the teams. The injuries, I don't know. Covers is not updating their injuries very good, so I don't know what the fuck's going on. I got to read it in Yahoo News. It goes through some injuries. Those are your plays. I'll figure out a free play for everybody to make some money at. So now I've looked at the teams, and then I've got one lock for sure that I love, and then probably a few more. That was first glance lock. I saw it and I go, wow, what a low spread. I'm locking that one. The other ones, what am I going to do? Old Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, the Vegas quarterback, if he's out, got to love Fresno State there, Ohio State, Michigan State, Louisville, Notre Dame, Baylor, BYU. How's Baylor going to react? How would you react after your coach has his head up his ass and gave up a free touchdown on a fixed play, a WWF Ric Flair play? It's like when Rick would just start walking and just fall down. That's what the secondary did. They kind of just fell down, and the guy catches the ball with nobody around him. You're like, what the? Was that Ric Flair out there? So now I'll put in my scores, and then I got to analyze. So I've got it down now to I'm adding offensive yards, defensive points. I've got the teams ranked fairly good. See, now the high school teams kind of get blended in now after a couple of weeks. You kind of go, okay, I see it. And now I just got to look at the quarterbacks. I've looked at them, but I got to look at them in the games. And then I can I don't like betting on bad quarterbacks, as you know. All right, let's go to the NIFL, the NFL, real quick. I'm just going to shoot the lines. I've got everything on here. I've even added quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts is 3 and 4, 3 touchdowns, 4. So I got everything on here. So I've got the team rank. I've got the defense points. I got the offense balanced or not passing. Then I got the quarterback and the quarterback totals. 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So I got it all here. Now I can get to work on the fucking NFL. All right, tomorrow night. I hate these Thursday night games. Dallas, 5.5, 45.5. Up from 44. I've got Dallas an over team. This is where the problems start. Dallas has been an A team the last couple of years. Now they have no defense. Baltimore lit them up. New Orleans is lighting you up now too. You got Micah Parsons in New Orleans puts up 50 on you. So now you have to rethink Dallas. And this is why I'm so successful. I don't give a fuck about the team, only the grading. They're an over team. They're not Dallas. They're an over team with a shitty quarterback, Micah Parsons and CD Lamb. That's who they are. And then so now the team, Cincinnati, is not an A team anymore, at least not yet. But now here's how it changes. Now I got Minnesota as an A team. New Orleans is an A team. Buffalo, well, that's an A. Seattle's an A team. And that's it. Most everybody's under or there's a couple of B teams, but that's it. These teams suck. It's not parity. They're terrible, but they call it parity instead of terrible. Nothing. Jerry Jones is the story. Well, Dak Prescott sucks is the story. He can't realize that the problem is Dak Prescott. That's the problem. And he doesn't fix it. I mean, he's got Micah Parsons. He's got CD Lamb. He's a running back. But, yeah, he doesn't. If you have a bad quarterback, you're not winning. And that's why they've never done. Look at them in the playoffs. They got killed by Green Bay. Now, that wasn't the quarterback's fault, but it didn't help. They have to talk about Jerry Jones. Well, yeah, he doesn't help them, but he's the owner. What are you going to do? He's a billionaire. What are you going to do? You can't really talk to him. It's just he's got to realize that Dak's not the issue. He's got to listen to me, and we'll get it. You can draft the kid out of Arizona, Fafita, and then you'll win. Or a lot of these quarterbacks. I'll get him a good quarterback from college, not like these stupid ones. All right. So Dallas, 5-0. Dallas is a 30 defense, which is why they're an over, and the Giants a 21. Prescott is 4-2, 4 touchdowns too, and Daniel Jones is 4-2. He must have had a big day against Washington or who did they play last week? They played Cleveland, and Cleveland sucks. I mean, it's all these, Myles Garrett's injured. I don't know if he's out, but he's injured. I mean, it's just pathetic. So I don't know what to do tomorrow. I can't trust a team with a 30 defense. It doesn't work. It's not what I'm going to bet on, which leads me to over or under, but I can't bet over with the fucking Giants and Daniel Jones. So I don't know where it leads you. I mean, it leads you to just, watching a movie because I can't watch this shit. All right, Pitt 1.5 40 to Indy. Pitt with the killer defense. Now Pitt's an under team. They don't score. They have Fields with a 9 defense. Fields actually has 2 touchdowns and a pick against Indy, who is an under team, a 20 defense, no scoring. Richardson 3 touchdowns and 6 picks. There's your boy Richardson. 326 a game, throw 3. So again, it's Pitt's blanket defense, and they're just keeping Fields away from doing anything stupid. He's only got 1 pick. So somebody I was reading where they want to make, why don't you just name Fields the starter? And he's like, why should I do that? He likes Russell Wilson. We all like Russell Wilson. Let's get him out there, but he's got a calf injury. So why should you name Fields? We saw what Fields did on the Bears. He sucks. We see what he's doing here. He sucks. He's not your answer. Russell Wilson's your answer. You're winning now because TJ Watt is the Lawrence Taylor of the league, and you're playing to him. You're not doing too much offensively, and you're letting TJ Watt get the sacks. Okay. Good game. Green Bay 2.5, 43.5. We have to check on Darnell. Hurt his ankle. He's got a sprained ankle, but I think he's fine. But he did hurt it. He's got 8 touchdowns and 2 picks. And by the way, overall, Minnesota is now 18-2 the last 2 years in a teaser. By the way, Minnie's the A team with the 10 defense. Green Bay's the B team with the 19. And if they still have Malik Willis and they're fucking favored, this will be a free play here, at least. I mean, this is like, as long as Darnold's healthy and you got Willis, we're all over Minnesota here. Houston 6.5, 45 to Jacksonville hasn't moved. Jacksonville, they're both W teams. That's what I've been trying to tell you about Houston. They give up 28, Jacksonville 25, Houston. Jacksonville, Lawrence 2 touchdowns and 1 pick, and Stroud 4 touchdowns and 2 picks. Both teams have like 3-something offense, mostly passing. So the lack of a running game is hurting both these teams. You've got to have balance. It can't just be all passing. You can't score in the red zone with just passing. So W versus W, what do you do with it? So I don't know. Jacksonville's just the Buffalo score. What was that Buffalo score? 54-10. I loved it. Why wasn't Buffalo the free pick? Why Cincinnati? Buffalo's been playing really good this year, so keep an eye on them. Next game, we got Atlanta 2.5, 42.5, up from 1.5. Any injury on New Orleans that we need to know about? New Orleans is the A team. Nobody blows out Dallas the way they did. And then, all right, it's a tough game with Philly. Philly's the Georgia players are playing, so much better defense. And keep an eye on that. Philly is not the same team as last year, the way they finished. So Philly, A team, a 15 defense for New Orleans. Carr, 6 touchdowns, 2 picks. Atlanta is the under team, 20 defense. Cousins, 4 touchdowns and 3 picks. 3 more than Michael Penix would have. All right. Atlanta 2.5. New Orleans is the better team here. You get them with points. All you can do is say Merry Christmas. LA and the Bears. The Bears are favored again. 3-41. Put the Bears in the SEC. They couldn't beat Tennessee. They couldn't beat Texas. They couldn't beat Alabama. They couldn't beat Georgia. That's 4 teams and then Ole Miss that they couldn't beat in college. And they're fucking favored over the Rams. I don't understand. They're an under team with a 19 defense, so we know they have a pretty good defense. Caleb, 2 touchdowns, 4 picks. That's his problem. A whopping 280 yards a game. He threw 50 times last week. Now, I assume he's going to throw a lot this week. The Rams, W team, very injured. All their receivers are out. They're using Tutu Atwell now. He's back in the mix. Stafford, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Played the Lions very good, then got killed by Arizona, then beat the Niners. You go figure this out, right? Now, the Niners were injured, but their defense should be better. You know, are the Bears really favored? And are they really going to – that means that they got – in our world, in our teaser world, they got to beat the Rams by 10 points. They couldn't beat 7 college teams I just gave you by at all. Forget by 10 points. So I think Stafford's able to score on them. And, you know, Caleb's still pathetic. All right, so they throw 50 times. Well, the Rams, they were down big to Niners and then held them and came back. I think the Rams defense is getting better. It's just Puka and Cooper Kupp are out. They're starting to get that kid Williams, the running back, starting to get it. The defense is there. And you got Stafford. So let's do a quarterback comparison. Stafford, Caleb. Who wins that one, right? So I think that's where you look at it as how are the Bears favored? It's just beyond me. See, the people that don't know how to bet are, oh, I'm betting Caleb and I'm betting Stroud and I'm betting whatever. The people that know what the fuck they're doing are laughing, going, you're making Caleb favored. That's unbelievable. Nothing. Okay. Philly, Tampa. Now, I've heard about Philly trying to get revenge. Somebody brought that up. Somebody getting revenge in this game. Both teams are under, and this is the change in Philly. A.J. Brown has been injured. I don't know if he's ready. Oh, with the no preseason hamstring injury. That's the same thing happened to T. Higgins and a boatload of other players. So Philly's an under team, 2.5, 40. Well, actually, this is 44.5 now, went from 45. We got Philly and under with the 21 defense, Tampa and under with the 21 defense. These are 2 very good teams going at each other. Jalen Hurts, 3 touchdowns, 4 picks. The Bakers, 6 touchdowns and 2 picks. This is the difference. They did beat the Lions. They had a bad game last week, losing to Denver 26-7. How good is Denver if they come into Tampa after Tampa beats Detroit and blows them out? Again, you've got to watch the little things, right? Carolina beating Oakland. How the hell did that happen? All right, that was WWF. That wasn't real. But, you know, okay, we'll see. Carolina gets Cincinnati this week. We're almost there. That's the next game. So Philly 2.5 at Tampa. Tampa's been playing well without their secondary, who the backups are fine. When does Winfield Jr. come back and a couple other guys? Philly really is playing defense, right? Well, 400 yards of offense and Tampa 303, but both with 21 defense, both with an under. Hey, I mean, it's almost like it could be an under game. Man, we don't know. What's this Philly defense? They really held New Orleans. You played New Orleans 15-12. All right. I don't see Tampa doing a whole lot more than New Orleans did with Olavi and Rashid and Kamara. You shut that down. Tampa doesn't have that. They got the 2 receivers. They don't have a running back. Baker and Carr are pretty similar. This will be an excellent game, but again, we would prefer Philly to be the dog. Then we would jump on Philly. Tampa, probably a good home dog here. I really don't know. I mean, this is a very tough one. Over under, probably an under. Both have 21 defenses. We get to go under 50. Keep that in mind. And if Philly's defense, which held Atlanta, well, we played Atlanta 22-21. and come on strong against New Orleans. Now they continue in the South with Tampa. So we will see, but I think their defense is playing a lot better. Cincinnati and Carolina. Cincinnati 4-47. What do we do with Joe Burrow and the boys? We know they're probably the second best team in the league. What happened to their defense? You know, they lost Mixon is a huge loss because now they don't have. Their running backs are okay. Moss, not a big money. This is the best you could come up with. Carolina, I don't know. Are you fucking kidding me that Andy Dalton sitting 2 or 3 years is all of a sudden Joe Montana? I got it when he got injured. Joe Montana and sit 2 years. I don't get Andy Dalton. Carolina, see, what the fuck did Oakland do? Now, this is a coach that doesn't know what he's doing. Cincinnati's got a defensive coach that doesn't know what he's doing. How can you play Kansas City the way you play it and then get blown out by Washington? Are you fucking kidding me? You telling me that Daniels is as good as Mahomes now and lights you off for 38? Mahomes only got 25 on you? What the fuck's going on? You're 0-2. You needed the game. You just told me you're not very good because the game you needed, you didn't get. Now you get Carolina. You go from gift to gift. You've had New England. You've had Washington. Now you get Carolina. You get the 3 worst teams in the league, and you're 0-3. Wow. I honestly don't know what to think. Burrow will light them up. I guarantee you that. Let's look at the defense. Cincinnati with the 27th, Carolina with the 32. And is Dalton anything? Is he still okay? If Dalton is okay, then, Cincinnati has no defense. They've turned into Dallas. Good offensive team, Burrow and Chase, no defense. So, I don't know. I don't know if I can trust. Cincinnati has to win. They're 0-3. But I don't know. I can't. After what I watched Monday night, I can't trust them. Now, of course, they'll win by 30 because they're playing Carolina. This is why you wanted Bryce Young still playing. If Bryce Young's playing, this is another double lock where, the house is bet on Cincinnati. But with Dalton, I don't know. Nothing. I wish the Bengals were on a bye. I wish they were in the SEC again. I'm 42 years old, born in Bengals fandom. It's usually a tough watch. Well, you got Joe Burrow. I mean, it's a real where's their defense? How is their defense this bad? They are so not prepared for this season. What did the coach do? Where was they in preseason? How do you not? Burrow played in the preseason. I saw that a little bit. Why don't they play the defenses in the preseason? Then they wonder why they all pulled hamstrings and calves and feet and they all get fucked. Their defense sucked. Yeah, I that's what I'm saying. Made it to where Joe had to throw the ball over 34. Well, they don't have a running attack, first of all. And how many times did they blitz Daniels? 0? Why aren't you blitzing a rookie quarterback? He's not ready for blitzes. They beat the Giants 21-18. Now I'm very confused. You beat the Giants 21-18. You got killed by Tampa. You go to Cincinnati, they must win, and you put up 38 on that. What is that shit? Again, is this WWF? Is this game in the Oakland game fixed games? It's parody because it sure looks like shit and smells like shit. So I can't tell you what to do with this game because I have no fucking idea. I mean, what do we keep beating our heads in with Cincinnati with no defense? I don't know. I mean, this is insanity. The Jets is 7.5, 38.5 to Denver, who just beat the fuck out of Tampa. This should be a much closer game. I think Denver can easily cover. They're both under teams. Denver's a 15. The Jets are a 17 defense. Bo Nix is 0 touchdowns, 4 picks. And Aaron Rodgers, 5 touchdowns and 1 pick. So he's playing. this will be a very interesting game because Denver's showing you now. Knicks will get it going. I don't think he'll get it going against the Jets. But again, they played New England. That's how you should have played New England, Cincinnati, and shut them the fuck out. They win 24-3. That's how you play New England. Now we're starting to see the real New England team. And again, it takes a few weeks for the other teams to start playing like they can. I think the Jets are going to be a hard team to beat. And then I see Denver, who you go into Tampa and beat them 26-7. Denver's a very good team. Bo Nix still needs about 2 or 3 weeks. What did Denver do the week prior? They beat Tampa. Yeah, they lost to Pitt 13-6. So they're going to struggle with a good defensive team, and that's what you got here with the JETSs. The difference is the JETSs will become an A team after a few more games when Rodgers is back in the saddle. But Denver should be, this is going to be close because I don't know if Denver, they couldn't handle Pitt. I don't know how they're going to play the Jets defense. We'll see. And keep in mind, the Jets defense is probably better because the first week was San Francisco who lit them up. And then it was, New England. It was somebody, and then New England. I want to see the Jets against Buffalo. That's going to be a very good game. So here, I don't know. Probably a close game, I think. And then I'm not sure. It's a 38 over under, so I'm not sure that that's an under. Because you got Aaron Rodgers now. He's gonna get you 20 something. So then does Bo Nix get you 20? And we don't know enough yet. Probably could be close to it. Washington, Arizona. Arizona 3.5, 50.5. Both teams are over. Washington with a 29 defense, get 375, mostly passing on offense. Arizona with an over team with 21 defense. Now, they played fairly good defense against the Lions. They lit up the Rams. Now, here's where the difference is. So the Lions are playing better defense. They got an 18 defense now. But Arizona, they get Washington with a 29 defense. And Joe Burrow lit them up. And Baker lit them up. And then the Giants, what do you expect? They got 18 on them, which is for the Giants lighting them up. I don't know what I got with Washington, right? Is this a fluke? Is this what they are now? Outside of that, Arizona, where did their offense go last week? We got lucky. We got that field goal. I said to myself, they're down 10. They just got to hold the lines, and they did. And then it's just they will kick a field goal because they're down 10 and they need the field. Otherwise, if they were down something other, if they were down 8, they would never have kicked the field goal. So we got lucky they were down 10. If they were down 8, we would have won. We had 9. That was my afternoon lock. So I locked Pittsburgh under, and then with Arizona at 9. See, I stayed away from the Lions over because they have not been an over this year. So instead of locking the over, I took Arizona at 9, which we got extremely lucky on because that lock won, but the over would not have won. So this is where my mind goes, right? So this should be, I don't know if I can take 9.5. I don't know what I'm going to get. Hopefully Murray runs. I think you should have a field day against this 29 defense. Arizona, Budda Baker is really good, but I don't know what else they got. They did shut the Rams down, and they did shut the Lions down. So we have to see. But it's, Daniels looked really good. I don't know how strong Arizona's defense is getting. Looks pretty good. But this will be like what happened with Cincinnati, Washington. Washington all of a sudden this great offensive team, or Cincinnati's defense sucks that much. And then now we're expecting Washington to score on Arizona. I have no idea. All right. The Niners, 39.5 to New England. Was 10.5, was 40, 39.5. New England sucks. Right now they're an under team, 19 defense, 274 a game. And San Francisco, with all the injuries, 23 defense, blew the lead to the Rams, which you'd never see them do. 420 on offense. They're doing it with mirrors. McCaffrey hasn't played. Pukanuka was out in the first quarter of the first game. Again, Cooper Kupp gets hurt, so now you're at Tutu, Atwell, and company for San Francisco. It's hard to lay 10.5 with all these injuries. Brissett's 1-0, and Purdy's 4 touchdowns and 1 pick. So Brissett, you're not getting any offense from New England, which we thought we weren't going to get any. And if Drake May comes in, we'll be betting heavily against him. The Niners, I don't know. How do you bet these injuries? This is the problem. Now the backup running back looked pretty good, but he's no McCaffrey. Tutu Atwell can handle for Pukanuka, but then you still lost that, and it's very. And then, or I'm in the Rams. So let me get back to the Rams or to the 49ers. So they've lost McCaffrey. The backup came in okay. Kittle's now out, I guess, and then you've got the other receiver out, whatever his name is. I'm going a blank there. You got Ayuk, who didn't want to be there, is your guy. They've got other receivers, Jennings or somebody. Deebo Samuel is out. So you got Deebo Samuel, McCaffrey, Kittle out, but you've got another running back who looks okay, and then you've got this Jennings and then Ayuk. It's still, the same offense. The defense is not where it should be. Well, it's an 11. No, it's a 23 defense. Really hard to call because I hate laying 10 or laying 4 in the NFL, even if it is New England with all the injuries. Over under 39.5. Maybe if the Niners defense gets better. Cleveland, Oakland. Oakland 237 to Cleveland. This line went from 1 to 2, so the Vegas money is going on Oakland. I don't know if that's good or bad news. Cleveland's terrible. Under team, 22 defense, 279, mostly passing and running by fucking Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, 279 yards a game. Oakland, a W team. They're not scoring a lot. They're giving up 27 points a game, 327 offense, mostly passing. It shows up against Baltimore and doesn't show up against Carolina. Yeah. Minshew's 3 touchdowns and 3 picks. What the fuck's going on here? You got Brock Bowers and Devontae Adams. Now, they did score on Carolina. That score was 36-22. What happened to your defense? Where's my guy? Where was my Pro Bowler? He didn't have a sack, I don't think. You let fucking Andy Dalton, after 5 years working at Kroger's, light you up, but you beat Baltimore and Lamar. What the fuck's going on here? Okay, it's the first few weeks, but it just makes no sense. Oakland, okay, so Cleveland with the 22 defense, but whatchamacallit, Myles Garrett is questionable. Oakland, their big guys questionable too on defense. 327 yards, like I said, 2 and 2. So you have a 22 defense, and somehow you got Oakland with the 27 defense. You got Cleveland with no quarterback, and so they shouldn't really hurt Oakland, although Andy Dalton, whatever. So maybe Oakland can't handle a passing team. I don't know. They beat Baltimore, but we know Lamar can't pass. So Oakland's letting up a lot of points. Oakland is not an under. They were an under last year. They're giving up 27 a game. So they're not an under team. This is the little tweaks that I make as we go. Baltimore's not an under. Oakland's not an under. Dallas is not an under. even though they have the defense, you're like, what the fuck's going on? So right now you can't play them as under. This is the key about what I do and how I live because I have to adapt. So when people ask me who's your favorite team, well, right now it's Minnesota. And in 2 weeks it might be Cincinnati because they might actually start winning. That's what it is. So you've got to adapt. Oakland's got a 27 defense now. It's not last year's. You got to be careful with it. So this is the problem. Watson sucks. Minshew is decent, but where was he? Well, he put up 22 on Carolina. What are you going to do on Cleveland with Myles Garrett? You're going to put up 22 on him? Now, you should stop Watson from 27 points, and they lost to the Giants. So Cleveland loses to the Giants 21-15. All right, so that's where it's at. So Oakland, will they bounce back after the Carolina game? Cleveland, will they bounce back from the Giants? And this is really what the problems are. Watson stinks. How long is the coach going to go with him before he goes to Thompson Robinson? What are the coaches waiting for? If you don't win the game, I want a guy who can win it, right? What do they say? If you can't do it, I'll find somebody who can. Yet he's got a guy, Watson, who stinks, and yet he's still playing him, and he's still losing. And what does he do? How long are you going to sit there and lose with Watson, who hasn't played in 2 years either? So how does Dalton look good when Watson looks shit, and they both sat for 2 years? All right, Kansas City, San Diego, a normal game. Kansas City 7.5 and 39.5, down from 8. Justin Herbert has a high ankle sprain. And I think their backup's injured also. So I don't get this line at all. KC's an E team at this point. They're scoring in the mid-20s, giving up 21, 336 a game. And Mahomes is 5 touchdowns and 4 picks. Maybe that's why. A lot of them came against Cincinnati and Baltimore, real teams. San Diego, an under team, 11 defense, 300 yards, balanced offense. Herbert, 4 touchdowns and 1 pick, but injured, high ankle sprain. If Herbert's out, which I probably should be, but I don't know. This is all Kansas City here. I mean, this is, now you've got a very good defense, San Diego, with an 11. If Bosa and Khalil Mack play, they will give Mahomes a little bit of a problem. So you're dealing with this very strong defense without a quarterback, turns them into an under. Kansas City, very strong defense. Last year looks like a 21. Gave up 20 to Baltimore. They gave up 25 to Joe Burrow. And then last week was a 22-17 to Atlanta. So KC should win the game without Herbert, but it won't be high scoring. Buffalo, Baltimore. Baltimore, 2.5, 46.5. Up from 45.5. Makes sense. Buffalo, the 8 team, probably the best team in the league right now with Minnesota and New Orleans. 16 defense. Von Miller's back. 332 passing. And Josh Allen, 7 touchdowns and 0 picks. Now you understand why I get on Caleb. Caleb, what is he? Where is he? 2 touchdowns and 4 picks. And Josh Allen, 7 touchdowns and 0 picks. That's the point. So I got my new highlighters today, and my new pens today. So I'm all set to write. Very good game here. 18. Baltimore's an over, giving up 26 a game, 437 yards of offense. They fucked the Oakland game, and they almost fucked the Dallas game. They're way up on Dallas, and it ends at a 3-pointer. Lamar, 3 touchdowns and a pick, running a little bit less. You got the wrong team favored here. That's all I can say. There's no way Baltimore should be favored. See, this is what kills me. Doing it my way, I know Buffalo's the better team. They're the A team. Baltimore's blowing leads to Oakland and blowing leads to Dallas, and Buffalo's winning 54-10. How is Baltimore favored here, right? Is this WWF too? Hopefully not. So definitely, I think Buffalo's a better team. Tennessee, Miami. Miami. How is Miami favored here? There were 1.5 and a 36.5 total. We've got Tennessee's a weak team, a 26 defense, and Levis has 4 touchdowns and 5 picks. He sucks. 294 yards a game. Miami's a W team, a 24 defense, and you don't have Tagliabue, and you got Skylar Thompson, who's injured. I'm not sure if he's playing. I'm not sure if some other idiots are playing. I mean, where are you going with this game? This is no quarterbacks, no real defense, no real offense. This is like a high school game. This is what, our Sunday night game? Like, who's going to watch this game? What, are they kidding you? Tennessee, Miami. I think the total is just about right, 36.5. How are you going to get points? I mean, they both suck. And our last game is the Detroit Lions, 3.5, 46.5. Down from 4.5. They were 4.5 points. Now they're 3.5. Why? Because Seattle beats them 6 times in a row. It's a bad matchup for the Lions. Any team that can pass is a bad matchup for the Lions. Arizona, I was surprised they didn't score more, Arizona. I didn't understand it. Basically, the Lions have one guy, that defensive end, McCarron or whatever his name is, and he comes in and he sacks him. And it's like, okay, let's double team him. Or if this was North Dallas 40, do a trap play and break his leg. That's what I would do. 3.5 and 46.5. What do we got? We got Seattle, who's an A team with a 14 defense, getting 360 yards, mostly passing. They're using Smith and Najima more, but they're not using Lockett, and they got Metcalf. Very strange offense. Walker from Michigan State, is he back or not? Charbonnet was starting to play well. Smith, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. Against an under team in Detroit, not scoring, 18 defense. They're getting 410 yards a game, and they're not scoring. Golf, 3 touchdowns and 4 picks. There he goes, playing the way he normally plays. Just pressure him. Will Seattle, if Seattle pressures Detroit, they win the game. Simple as that. 3.5, 46.5. My first thought was over, but Detroit's not scoring. I mean, they're averaging like 20 points a game. Look at last week with how did they play Arizona, who just put 41 up on the Rams, not score 20-13. What is going on there? So thank God I had Arizona 9-9, not the over. Which, believe me, I was this close, and then just my instinct said no, take the 9. Arizona should have been favored in the game. Here, Detroit at home. I have Detroit as 7-point favorites. They're 3.5. I don't know what's going on. They're not scoring. I think the move to Williams is a big problem because in the red zone, he's useless. Like I said, he's fast, but there's no real estate. He's going to run out of the end zone, and they drop into a zone. You got the ball at the 15-yard line. This guy's not making a catch. So it's either St. Thomas or it's, what are you going to do? Run the ball? Your tight end's injured. What are you going to do? So they did a play out of the Miami Dolphin book, the hook and ladder, last week. So you're resorting to trick plays, these fake punts, to go for it on 4th downs. This is not what real good teams do. This is what teams that are very weak do. So this is right about, it's a close game all over. Really, I don't know about over yet. I'm debating it. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'm trying to figure out how did they play Arizona 2013. And again, in the second half, the Lions did nothing. They had 20 at half, and that was it. They don't play the second half. Goff does not know how to play a second half. He does good in the start because they kind of mix it up. They do a lot of this running and then pass. Depending on how the defense is lined up, the defense adjusts at halftime. He doesn't do shit. Throws some interceptions, and the defense is just basically the guy rushing. So if Seattle takes the lead and can run on this Matheson, they'll be fine. Then they'll win. So if they can get the lead, they'll win. If the Lions get the lead, we saw what happened against Tampa. Tampa just shut them down. The Lions couldn't score. It was 20. So it's really weird scores. 20-16 with Tampa and 20-13 with Arizona. They're not an over team right now. They're an under team. But it's because they're not scoring. A little bit because of the defense. All right, against Tampa, who doesn't score a lot, 16 points. Well, they gave up 20. And then Arizona, who's a good passing team, they couldn't. The defense looked better, so it's a 13. Seattle gives them trouble, so we'll see. I haven't decided this game. This is a toughie for me because I'm usually trying to bet against the Lions, but I can't let emotion in the door. So that's pro football. We have to check injuries now. Is Cam Rising playing? It's like, where's Waldo? Is Cam Rising playing? So we got to look at that. The Alabama-Georgia game, I need to go into osmosis to figure that one out. I think it's going to end up being an underplay. I don't want to take Alabama. Alabama probably as a dog is a good play, but Georgia's going to be awfully pissed. It's revenge, and you don't want to fuck with Georgia in a revenge game. So hoping Alabama was the favorite in Alabama, and they're not. Now I really don't know what to do. The Wisconsin game really doesn't look right because whatchamacallit, my guy Van Dyke got hurt. So really you can't use that game. I was watching highlights of it, but it was a joke. Wisconsin couldn't move, and Alabama's getting short fields and turnovers. Well, that's not going to happen with Georgia. Look at the championship. The SEC championship was was like 28-24. And I would say that's probably, let's see, that upper 40s. This is 48. Yeah, be around that neighborhood. So we'll decide what to do with that. But I got about 10 college games that I saw, and then the pros I think I could have 4 locks, I think. I got 1, and I got 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. No, I got 6 really strong plays that I just kind of noticed as I was doing my interpretation. Channel the second moon. Yeah, I'm going to have to. I think, well, that's what I normally do. Channel that, but you've got to understand me because I'm very psychic. I'm an INFJ, so I get feels and pictures of the games. Sometimes I don't, but I did in the Arizona Lion game. I knew to take Arizona and 9 was going to win. Even watching the game, they're down 10 in this fourth quarter, and I said I'm going to win the game. I said they're going to kick a field goal and lose by 7, and I knew it was going to. I didn't know when, and then finally we got some completions, and then finally they kicked the field goal and the guy made it, and I never were. I knew they were going to lose by 7, and we had 9. I knew it. Just like Pittsburgh and the Rams, I knew that was never. I saw 10-7. I went swimming. I looked 20-10 final. I'm like, yeah, there you go. So when I get the feel, I get the feel. I got the feel in the Baylor-Colorado game that Baylor was a strong dog. So when I get that, forget about it. I already know what's going to happen. So that's where I'm at. But college, I think I have about 10 strong plays. I don't know how many locks I'm going to get out of that. Well, when I get the feeling, I know I see it, and it kind of is. I can almost. There was a game I saw was my big game, Florida State and Auburn, back when Florida State won the title, and I had a vision of whatchamacallit, Winston with a rose in his mouth after the game that they had won. And that's why I bet the hell out of it. Sure as shit, watching the game. Game's over, they win. He's got a rose in his mouth. I couldn't believe it, but that's why I had him in 10 teasers, and they were laying 7-1. I said, well, all I got to do is win, and if I had to bet it later, they went to 11. I would have lost -5, but at -1, it was such a lock, and it was locked in. Like I said, I had it in my 11-team teaser, my 10-team teaser, a bunch of 3-team teasers, and then a power 2-team teaser. I mean, it was a joke. But that's how I've been doing it so long. I already know who's going to win a lot of the games. I mean, that's why I rank it. Once I know, oh, they're an over, like Dallas. Stay away from Dallas. They don't have a defense. I'm not going to play. I'm not going to play Dallas against the Giants. It might be the over or the under, but I'm not going to play Dallas over the Giants because they're not the same team. Baltimore's an over team. Cincinnati's apparently an over team, and then it's the quarterback change. Okay, well, what the fuck's going on with Carolina? What the fuck's going on with Oakland that they give up 34 points to Andy Dalton? Andy Dalton now plays Cincinnati. This would be a beautiful over bet if I knew Andy Dalton's going to do that against Cincinnati, which probably will, or was it just a WWF game where Ric Flair takes his nosedive down and that's it? So this is the problem you have. That's why I need to watch a few games to see, is this really Carolina or is this just the bullshit Oakland lay down because they're in Vegas now? And Don Corleone walked over from the Bellagio saying, guys, you got to lose. And they all said, okay, Don, yeah, we don't want to horse this head in our bed. We're going to lose. Well, teams are rounding in the form because they don't play in the preseason. However, you figure out Oakland and Carolina right now, right? Carolina was informed. They sucked. Now you've just changed the whole thing with Andy Dalton. That's the problem. That's why I keep quarterback records. I want to see Josh Allen, 7 touchdowns and no picks, and Caleb, 2 touchdowns and 4 picks. That's what I'm looking for in the quarterback. So when you fuck me around with the new quarterback, what do I do with it? Now, Herbert, is he playing? If he ain't playing, I love Kansas City. We got to wait for that. That's why we got to wait. Is what's Herbert? Is he going to be game time decision? In the Cam Rising game time decision? I love Utah if he plays, but if he doesn't play, I can't play the rookie against Arizona. So you've got, as you say, the form is with this quarterback. It's with Joe Burrow. They got new running backs. They still have Chase. And what's going on with who's their defensive coordinator? Santa Claus? That's what you got to – I don't know what form they are because they're not the same team. And that's what you have with Dallas giving up 50 points, Baltimore blowing a lead to Oakland. Okay, so we think we have a handle on Oakland. They came back and beat Baltimore, and then they can't beat Carolina. And now who do they got this week? Oakland's got Cleveland, who sucks, who's got a terrible quarterback. We don't know which Oakland's going to show up. So we don't know yet because they didn't do preseason. And the teams are all getting these hamstring injuries because they didn't play preseason. And you're asking them to play 4 quarters of football. It's a fucking joke. None of the coaches are any good except for my guy at Denver, right? He's the only one, Sean Payton, that is a fucking coach. You got rid of Belichick and you got rid of Coach Pete, which I can't believe. And you got idiots, well, it's 4th down and we should go for it. I mean, oh my God, you've got to be kidding. And all these teams lose because they go for it and you kill my over-unders. Like I said, in the Louisville, Georgia Tech game, just kick your field goal and I win. And 4th and 5, and he goes for it, and they don't make it. And you're like, what's wrong with the field goal, fellas? I didn't realize the field goal was so bad to get. I don't like the Bengals laying 4 on the road. Well, we don't know which Carolina team's showing up and how bad the Bengals defense is. Don't want to put Panthers plus 10 in the tees and they'll lose by 11. Oh, you can't play the game. I mean, well, the only way I could play it is if you really think Andy Dalton did actually do that against Oakland, and it wasn't like everybody lay down and let Andy Dalton look good, then this is an over game because Cincinnati's scoring 35 points on them. Carolina still doesn't have a defense. The question is, all right, what's the total on the game? The total on the game is 47.5. That's 41.5 in our world, which is 24-20. Burrow is going to get you 30 right there. So what do you need? 14 points from Carolina? Is Andy Dalton? If Bryce Young's playing, it's a lock Cincinnati. Again, if it's Dalton and he really looks that good, again, carving up Oakland, then yeah, it's an easy over. And fuck the points because we have no idea if what's wrong with Cincinnati's defense. Where's their defense? Where did the defense go? I mean, that's just a joke. Yeah, so over 41 would be my play if Andy Dalton is real. Do we know that? I mean, that's a risk to think Andy Dalton's going to light it up. It's a risk to think Cincinnati's defense is really this bad because they didn't look that bad against KC. So that's we're all mind fucked. Chris Angel's here, mind fucking all of us. Well, 41 is better. Again, if which Cincinnati Daniels kind of runs around a little. Maybe that gives Cincinnati problems where Dalton doesn't. Dalton sits in the pocket. And that guy who nailed Mahomes 3 times, Hutchinson, I think's his name, he nailed Mahomes 3 times. If he's playing, Dalton ain't going to sit there and light up Cincinnati if it's standard. I think it could be that Daniels is a running mobile quarterback and Cincinnati didn't do their blitzing. Instead, they should have, but that's the key to it. If Dalton pocket passer Hutchinson can come in and clean house, yeah, it probably is, unless he got hurt. But yeah, that's it. But that's what you're looking at, and that's why they change. I mean, these numbers, the teams are changing. Caleb's getting better, but he still sucks. Buffalo looks very good. I got Von Miller back. They're playing well. They're scared. The JETSs, they got Aaron Rodgers. Here they go, 24-3. They wouldn't have never done that last year, but that's what I was expecting last year, and that's what you're going to get from the JETSs. You're going to get Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball to his buddies on these short little slant patterns that nobody can cover, and the defense playing very well. Now they're rounding into form. They are getting better and better, but they play a Denver team that we don't know. So how do we know what form Denver is when they lose to Pitt 13-6 and then they go to Tampa and win 26-7? So what I'm seeing is a very good defense for Denver. That's what I take out. See, when I watch again, that's what I see. Good defense. Bo Nix is coming, and we'll see. And so they play the Jets. Probably be a low-scoring game, right? Because we know the Jets have defense. But now we got to throw Aaron Rodgers into the mix. Well, that's 20 points they're going to get, even against Denver, because Denver did it with Fields. So you're dealing with such bad personnel. It's like the baseball. You have so many minor leaguers playing that you don't know what to see here. You've got managers that are so stupid, like the Tigers. None of the guys are hitting what they normally hit because the lefties are only facing righties and the righties are only facing lefters. What the fuck? So you don't know what anybody's batting because they're not facing both sides. What is that? This is what, high school baseball? Baseball is totally trash. It's totally minor league. It's all it is. It's, It is not. You have very few pitchers. Well, you got Verlander and Scherzer. That's it. Who else do you got? The guy, Chris Sale at Atlanta. I think Baltimore's got a pitcher. I don't know if the Yankees have one. Cleveland has some pitching. That's it. I mean, I don't know in the National League besides Verlander. Well, no, they're in the American, aren't they? So it becomes there's no good pitching. So these guys are hitting, but the pitching, it's all minor league. It's like the NBA's all minor league. You're not having professionals in there. Paul Scanes, yeah, Paul's been good. I knew there was somebody, but I'm just general. So he's a very good one. Well, he could be the Cy Young Award winner. Who else is going to win the Cy Young in the National League? You got Verlander and Scherzer were hurt, or Verlander would win it again. I don't know who's a good pitcher in the American League because they're all injured. I know Tony's not pitching. Like, that's the smartest thing. I don't know why the Dodgers made him a DH, but he should be a right fielder. But he should not pitch and play right field. That's ridiculous. Just like the guy in Colorado football is the defensive back and the wide receiver. You don't have enough defensive backs to bring in defensive backs, really? I'm a Reds fan. Scanes can deal. Yeah, Scanes is good. But this is the problem. You have so many minor leaguers playing. That's the problem. All these minor leaguers are out there, and that's why it's a joke. The hitters, nobody can hit 300 because they all suck, and none of the pitchers have 2 ERAs. I mean, it's really pathetic. All right, let's check our gold price as we always do. 26.60 basically. Silver won't get over 32. If it cracks 32, it goes to 40. So they won't let it crack yet. And 26.59, a break even day. Tomorrow we should see gold hit 2,700. That's the lock. That's the one lock we have is gold. Thank God for that. So it's hard explaining to the girlfriends, well, we have a lot of money in gold, but I can't cash it because it's only 26. It's only 26.60. We don't cash till 10,000. And then even then we very reluctantly cash. So they go, you got all this money in gold. And I go, yeah, but I can't. You can't. I don't want to sell it now unless we need to, right? If we absolutely need to, I have it to sell, but I don't want to sell it because I know the price is going up. Anyway, so that's it. So we'll be back tomorrow. It's Thursday. We have the 2 games. Army against Temple. Temple. Temple is Temple's still a Z team. Good old Temple. You can always count on them. So that's what we have. I don't know what I'm doing with the Dallas Jank. The only play I could possibly make on that game is over. But then I got to trust Daniel Jones to actually score 10 points. Well, what do I need there? If I go over and it's 45, I need 39 and a half. Will Dallas get me 39? I don't think so. Daniel Jones ain't going to score for me, so I know it's one-sided. And, maybe I go under in the game, but I can't with Dallas's defense. I've never met anyone who had enough money. Yeah, even these billionaires don't know. Why is Donald Trump running for president? He's a billionaire, supposedly, right? Supposedly he's a billionaire. He wants to golf. He wants to get shot at twice. He wants to run for president. Why? It doesn't matter. George Soros runs the country, not the president. The president of Biden. What is Biden? He sleeps all. He doesn't know what day it is. So it's really crazy what's going on, why a billionaire wants to be president. I mean, you got to be out of your mind, which I guess he is. Anyway, that's about it. I will see you tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to do econ today. Maybe very small, but I just told you gold, but the normal bricks talk and everything else. Rehoboth Beach Joe. What does that mean? Oh, Joe Biden. Okay. All right, everybody. Have a good day. www.teaserking.com. If you want to get all the picks and locks, you ain't going to get them here. So you got to get them Friday night, college, 7 to 8, $25. Go to teaserking.com and pay for it. Or pros, 8 to 9, Friday night. And I go through all the games, picks, locks, and everything else. And then if we need Saturday morning, but you probably get it here, I'd say Cam Rising's playing or not. Very few. The picks are normally done Thursday night, Friday. I know who I want, and I've checked the injuries. So it's just, is Rising playing? Things like that we would go over Saturday or Sunday morning. Anyway, www.teaserking.com. Get all that stuff, or just buy the picks and off you go. All right. Have a nice night, everybody. Thank you, and take care. Thank you, Nutton.